This video is about letting AI do things for you on its own and how to set that up so it never does something you didn't agree to. Because that is the fear, right? You hand something control and it deletes your files, sends an email you never approved, or orders something with your card. Those fears are reasonable. I am going to show you how the tools actually handle this, which settings to use, and a simple way of thinking that keeps you in charge the whole time. You do not need to be a coder for this. If you can use email on the browser, you can follow everything in this video. I will walk through 4 real examples, from completely harmless to the one everybody worries about, an agent spending your money. But first, we need to sort out what an agent even is, because the word gets thrown around for very different things. And if you do not understand what is actually running under the hood, the safety settings later will feel like arbitrary rituals instead of the obvious moves they are. You have probably used automation before without calling it that. An email rule that moves invoices to a folder, an out of office reply, that is automation. A fixed rule you wrote once, running the same way every time. A vending machine. Press B4, get the same snack every time. Nobody worries about the vending machine going rogue because it cannot do anything except what its code says, in the exact same order the code says it. An agent is not that. To understand what it is, we need 2 definitions first. First, generative AI. Strip away the mystique, and what sits underneath ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini is math. Statistics, to be precise. If you want to know more about this topic, watch my What is AI video. And also the full course, AI for Leaders, and the theory lectures. These tools are built on large language models. A language model is a program trained on enormous amounts of text, and what it does is simple to describe. Given the text so far, it calculates which word most probably comes next, then the next word, then the next. That is the whole trick. Everything these tools produce, answers, summaries, code, comes out of that next word prediction, done at enormous scale. And one consequence matters for the rest of this video. The model works with probabilities, not fixed rules. Ask it the same thing twice and you can get 2 different answers. It gives you the most likely continuation, not a guaranteed one. Traditional code, the vending machine, is deterministic. Same input, same output every time. A language model is probabilistic. Same input, a good guess. Second, and this is the part almost nobody explains, a language model on its own can only produce text. It cannot click, buy, delete, or send anything. Text goes in, text comes out, and that's the full extent of its powers. Which raises the obvious question. If the model can only write, how does an agent order my groceries? Here is the answer, and it is less magical than the marketing makes it sound. An agent is a language model wrapped in a layer of completely ordinary traditional code. That surrounding code does 2 things. It hands the model a set of tools, a function that can search the web, one that can open a page and click on it, one that can read email, one that can write the file, and it runs a loop. The loop goes something like this. The code sends your goal to the model and asks, what is your next step? The model answers in plain text. Use the search tool with these search words. The codes execute that, takes the result, sends it back to the model, and asks again, what is your next step? Round after round until the model answers, done. Here is the result. That is the entire construction. A probabilistic text predictor, making decisions, deterministic code, carrying them out. When people say the agent uses judgment, this is what it means technically. At every round of that loop, the next step is not written anywhere in the code. It is predicted by the model. The same next word prediction as before, now applied to actions instead of sentences. The model has been trained on an enormous amount of text about how tasks get solved, so its guesses about a sensible next step are usually good. But they are guesses. Statistically informed, often excellent, still guesses. And once you see that construction, the safety picture draws itself. 2 things follow directly. 1. Because every decision is a probability, the agent can decide wrong. Pick a strange step, misread the page, and it will do so with full confidence because the large language model does not know when it is wrong. 2. The model itself still has no powers of its own. All the actual power sits in the tools the surrounding code hands it. An agent that has never given a delete function cannot delete anything, no matter how confused it gets. This is the foundation for everything that follows in this video. You control an agent not by hoping it decides well, but by deciding which tools it holds. Which is why the right mental model is hiring, not buying. You give an agent the goal, not step-by-step instructions, and the steps in between are its own calls, exactly like delegating to a person. So treat it like a new hire. Nobody hands a new employee the company credit card and the master key on the day one. They get the keys their tasks need, nothing more. They check with you before anything that cannot be undone. You look over their work in the beginning, and they earn more freedom by showing they can handle it. That is a safety model with 4 rules. 1. Give the agent the keys it needs. 2. It asks before anything you cannot undo. 3. You read its receipts, what it has done. 4. It gets a trial period before it gets trusted. The major tools are built around these rules already. The settings exist. Most people never look at them. Let's look at them. We start where nothing can go wrong. A research task. The agent reads, gathers, and summarizes. It does not send, buy, or delete anything. This is rule 4 in action, the trial period. Your first agent task should always be one where the worst possible outcome is a mediocre summary. I will use Claude in the Chrome browser for this one, because it shows rule number 2 on screen in a very concrete way. I am asking it to compare prices on a product across a few web shops and put the result in the table. Now watch what happens before it does anything. It does not just start clicking around, it writes a plan. The plan lists which websites it wants to access and what it intends to do on them. And it waits. I have to approve that plan before it moves at all. This is the employee walking into your office and saying, "Here's how I plan to solve this. Is that okay?" If a site is on the list that I do not want it touching, I say no and tell it to adjust. There is a setting behind this. Claude in Chrome has 2 modes, ask before acting and act without asking. Ask before acting is the one you want. The documentation itself is honest about the other mode. Acting without asking significantly increases the risk of the agent being tricked. We will come back to what tricked means later in the video, because it connects directly to that loop we just talked about. One more thing, why it works. Per website, I cannot choose to allow a single action at a time, or always allow actions on that site. Single action means it asks for every click. Always allow is for sites I completely trust. That granularity is rule 1. Only the keys it needs. It gets access to these sites for this task, not to my browser in general. The result is a table, which I read and declare is done. Nothing was at risk at any point. That is deliberate. Want tasks like this for a week or 2 before you give an agent anything heavier. Same as a new hire. The first weeks are supervised and low stakes. Now to the thing people actually mean by autonomous. It runs when you are not there. Here I will use ChatGPT's agent mode, which is included in paid plans. My task: every Monday morning, gather fresh numbers on a topic I follow, put them in a spreadsheet, and write a short summary of what changed. I run it once manually first, and I watch it work. It shows what it is doing as it goes, and I can interrupt it or stop it at any point. This first supervised run is important. Never schedule something you have not watched succeed at least once. When the task finishes and I am happy with the output, I click the clock icon and set it to repeat, daily, weekly, or monthly. Every scheduled task shows up in one dashboard where I can see them, change them, or shut them off. Notice what this agent produces: a file and a summary. It gathers and writes into a document. It does not act on the world. Think back to the tools in the loop. This one holds a search tool and a write a file tool, nothing else. If it has a bad Monday, I get a bad spreadsheet, and I see that when I read it. Which is rule number 3. Read the receipts. Every Monday, I spend 2 minutes checking the output before I use it. That is the whole cost of safety here. Keep in mind, as I mentioned in my other AI videos, large language models can hallucinate. That is to say, they can guess wrong in the math sense. An honest limitation. This handles time-based triggers, meaning every Monday, every morning, once a month. It does not handle event-based triggers, like when a specific email arrives. Tools that do that properly exist, but the good ones with a built-in approval step sit on paid business platforms, so I'm leaving them out of this video rather than walking you into a paywall. For most private office use, a schedule covers a lot. Email is where the fear gets real, because email is where an agent could embarrass you. Sending something half-baked to your boss or client cannot be taken back. So we set this one up so that sending is physically not on the table. I connect Claude to my Gmail. And here is the part I want you to see. Look at what the connection is actually allowed to do. It can read threads, and it can create drafts. Creating a draft means the reply appears in my drafts folder in Gmail, sitting there unsent. There is no send in this setup. I do not have to configure that cleverly. Remember, the agent's power is exactly the tools it holds. The key I handed over does not open the door. Rule 1 again. The job was drafting, so it got a drafting key. So the workflow becomes: the agent goes through unanswered email, writes suggested replies as drafts, and I open my drafts folder. I read each one, edit if needed, and press send myself. The judgment call, does this go out, stays a human decision. The typing, which was the boring part anyway, is done for me. Alright, ordering things, spending money. This is the example people bring up when they say agents scare them. So let us do it for real and watch exactly where it stops. I'm asking ChatGPT to order product for me. Watch it work. It goes to the store, searches the item, compares options, and adds things to the cart. And then it stops. At checkout, it hands the whole thing back to me. It is trained to explicitly ask for permission before actions with real-world consequences. And buying something is a textbook case. The purchase does not happen without me confirming it. Worth remembering. First, logins. When a site needs me to sign in, the agent does not want my password. It pauses and asks me to take over the browser myself. While I am typing, it captures no screenshots. I log in, hand control back, and it continues. My password never passes through the agent at all. Never, ever paste passwords or card numbers into the chat with any agent. If a tool asks you to, that alone is a reason to stop using it. Second, there are things it refuses outright. Bank transfers, for example. It is built to decline moving money between accounts no matter how you ask. And honestly, that is the correct design. Some things should not be delegated yet. Full stop. So notice what safe means here. It is not that the agent never touches anything money related. It is that autonomy ends where irreversibility begins. The agent does the 90% that is legwork. The final yes stays with you. That is rule number 2. And every serious tool draws the line in the same place. Before we wrap up, the uncomfortable part, because I promised honesty, not comfort. There is an attack type called prompt injection, and you should know it exists. Think back to the loops. At every round, the model reads whatever is on the page, in the document, in the email, and predicts the next step from it. A malicious page can contain hidden text written not for you, but for your agent. Instructions, essentially, sitting inside the very text the model is reading to decide what to do next. Imagine your new employee out running an errand and a stranger slips them a note that says, "Your boss also wants you to hand over the office keys." A naive employee might believe it because the note arrived through the same channel real instructions do. Now, prompt injections aren't as much of a problem as they used to be, but you still need to be wary. The tools work against this. They train the models to recognize and refuse these tricks. They scan for them, and this is exactly why the confirmation prompt exists. But no protection is perfect, and the vendors say so themselves in their own documentation, which I respect. So your part is simple. Keep asked before acting on. This is the reason. If an agent starts doing something you did not ask for, stop it. Every tool has a stop button. Use it and ask questions later. And do not give agents access to accounts where a mistake would be a disaster. Your bank does not need an agent in it. Rule 1 is not only about convenience, it decides how big a mistake can possibly get. One more habit. These tools keep an activity log while they work, showing each step they took. When something surprises you, read these. It is usually very clear where things went sideways, and most of the time, the answer is embarrassingly human. The instructions were vague. Same as with the employees. Unclear instructions produce confident nonsense. So, can you let AI agents run on their own safely? Yes, sort of, if you remember what they are. A text predictor making probabilistic decisions plugged into tools that ordinary code carries out. The predictions can be wrong, so the control sits in the tools and the confirmations. For rules, once more, give the agent only the keys it needs. Connect the accounts the test requires, nothing else, and check what the connection is actually allowed to do before you approve it. It asks before anything you cannot undo. Keep the ask first mode on. Purchases, sending, deleting. Those confirmation exists because the decisions are guesses. Read the receipts, the logs. Watch the first run. Skim the outputs and the activity log after. Trial period. Start with tasks where failure costs nothing and expand what you delegate as the agent proves itself and you understand it better. The same way trust works with people. Start this week with example 1, a research task where nothing can break. I use ChatGPT and Claude in this video because those are tools I have access to. Gemini and Copilot are building similar agent features, and the 4 rules apply the same wherever you are, whichever agent you use. If you want the bigger version of this thinking, how companies keep AI in check, even when they cannot fully trust it, I have a video exactly on this, linked below. If there is an agent task you want me to test on camera, write it in the comments. If this video was helpful, click the like and subscribe buttons to help more people find it. See you in the next one.